What's up? What's up? I see. All right. Well, welcome to All Soccer All Day. I'm your boy Stevie Mack out here in Chicago, and with me, as always, Eric D. What's going down, man?
Oh no! I probably shouldn't say that. That's code on the streets for the beast is loose. So
yeah, man, you can't be doing all that.
No, but
Say
yeah,
that
man,
again?
Things are good. There's no police out here right now, so I can't be saying that.
There you go.
The streets are quiet. Yeah, man, I'm good. It's good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Feeling all right. Getting over a little bit of a cold, but we're going to get into this English Premier League action along with a little bit of Champions League, talk about that MLS.
Yes.
Correct, the MLS. So before we get started here, as always, we would like to thank our sponsor, Vaporgate, out in Colorado. Check them out online, vaporgate.com, vapergate.com for all your vaping needs. We'd also like to thank all our Patreons, and if anyone wants to help us out, there's two ways you can do that. Number one, you can always visit our Patreon page. That's patreon.com/allsoccerallday. Or, of course, you can always leave us a 5-star rating wherever you're listening to this podcast. We really appreciate it. Before we get started, Eric D., you got any news and notes or anything in particular you want to talk about before we get into the Premier League?
Nah, man, ready to get stuck in. Let's do this.
Let's go. Okay, so let's start off by saying that this last week was pivotal in many ways because there was a couple games here that brought us back level on games. Okay, so there was 4 teams: Arsenal, Wolves, Manchester United, and Manchester City, who were one game behind due to FA Cup or multiple various other games they were playing in. And so this past Wednesday, the 24th, is when we caught up. But before that, we actually had Matchday 35. So Matchday 35 happened. These 4 teams caught up midweek, and then we're looking forward to Matchday 36 coming up. So first, we're going to start with the games that happened over the weekend, this past weekend, and then we will get into the games that happened this Wednesday that were these makeup games, so to speak. So starting off, let's go back to, we are looking at Saturday, April 20th was the beginning of Matchday 35. Some important results that were going down. Obviously, everyone's kind of looking at the top 6, right? We're looking at Manchester City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, Tottenham, and of course Manchester United. These were the 6 teams that everyone's kind of seeing how that shuffle up top is going to go between, of course, Liverpool and Man City, number 1 and number 2 respectively, and the next 4 vying for that 3rd and 4th spot for Champions League. So a lot's kind of changed over the course of the last few weeks, and we'll get into that in a second. But let's talk about the first big game of the week, not only for Manchester City, but obviously also for Liverpool, because this is one of the games that basically, if Manchester City drops a result, either gets a tie or they take an L, that is a huge boost to Liverpool going forward. That being said, same goes on the other side. If Liverpool drops a result, either draws or takes an L, then it's pretty much done, you would think. Anything can happen in the Premier League, so you never know over the course of the next 3 weeks. But the first big game was Manchester City hosting Tottenham. So Spurs had just actually eliminated Manchester City from the Champions League just before this game. And we'll talk a little bit about that later when we get into the Champions League stuff. But this was, I believe, the 3rd time in a couple weeks that Manchester City met Spurs. Spurs had the best of them in the Champions League and eliminated Manchester City, but City gets the result 1-0 at home at the Etihad. Eric D., what are your thoughts on this game? What's up? Not only the thoughts on this game, but also kind of like where that's taken both of these teams, you know?
Well, I mean, I think if you felt there might be a match that Man City would potentially slip up on, might be this match, considering that they might have a little bit of a hangover from losing to Tottenham. Might not be up for it, might be down the dumps, but not to their credit, they got right back to it. And, I mean, they realized that, you know, they're not going to get Champions League this season, so there's other trophies, titles they can win, and they put their focus back on the, you know, Premier League title, and they're still going, man. They're still Man City, and for Tottenham, I mean, I think Tottenham is, you know, obviously they're shooting for top 4, and right now they're on a cloud, as we'll talk about later, for Champions League. I mean, these are pretty good for them as well. So.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Let's go ahead and let's talk a little bit about how the next games upcoming for Manchester City are going to be looking, just because well, actually, I'm sorry. You know what? We'll get to that in a minute because we got to talk about the other results regarding Manchester City first. So, my bad. We'll get back to that in a second. So let's talk about the next team, of course, that's up top, vying for that championship spot is Liverpool, of course. They get the win away at Cardiff City 2-0. And this was it was a close game. Liverpool started feeling the pressure there going into the second half. They were draw 0-0 at halftime, and a draw for Liverpool at this point in time, it was a death sentence, you know. So Jorginho Wijnaldum has a beautiful goal off a corner kick, half volley, rockets it into the top netting, and so absolutely wonderful. And then, of course, they follow up with the second goal from the penalty kick by James Milner. You got the old man celebration and everything. Yeah, taking that hobble. But, Eric D., what do you think about this win from Liverpool? I mean, I think it shows some guts. I think it showed that they're doing everything they can to win this championship.
I think for the first time this season, I mean, could be wrong, you felt the pressure. Like, the pressure it's starting to be felt. You can feel it in the stands, you can feel it on the players, just the atmosphere. It seemed like one of those matches where it was like Liverpool's getting some chances, but they're not converting. I mean, it's going to be one of those like 0-0 kind of games, kind of matches. To Liverpool's credit, they found a way, as champions usually do. But as we spoke about this earlier, it's pretty crazy that Liverpool's having the kind of season that they're having. You know, arguably the best season in Liverpool's history, or if not the best season in their history. I'm not quite sure of that. I have to look at the history of the standings for Liverpool. It goes back only 100 some odd years. So,
right.
And they might not win the title.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, like you said, like a loss or a draw. A draw could be disastrous for them. It's just like, and they've only lost one match all season, unfortunately, to Man City, and it still might not be enough.
Yeah, I mean, it's mind-boggling that a team could only lose one time an entire season and still be basically in the passenger seat. I mean, Manchester City owns the destiny right now. If City wins out, that's it.
Title. Yeah, doesn't matter what Liverpool needs help.
Correct. And not only that, but when you look at the schedule and the fixtures upcoming for both teams, it's heavily in favor of Manchester City because Liverpool's still in the Champions League and they're playing Barcelona 2 times upcoming in between all of their Premier League games. Exactly.
Like, not looking good for Liverpool at the moment on the Premier League front. Obviously, Champions League a little different. It's funny, I saw a tweet that basically it was video of Mane's almost goal against Man City where it went down to a goal line decision.
Yep.
It cleared off the line. It was like that much.
Yep. It was a quarter inch or something like that.
Yeah, on the line, so it was no goal. And everyone's like, this might be the moment that Liverpool lost the title.
Yeah, man.
Like,
You know, they call American football a game of inches. Well, this was a game of centimeters, dude. Centimeters, man. It's insane. I mean, but this is...
That close. It's that close.
Yeah, I know. But, I mean, this is the drama. This is the drama that the English Premier League brings. This is the competition that everyone wants to see. And, you know, look, obviously, being a Liverpool supporter myself, if we end up winning this title, it'll be probably one of the most dramatic wins that anyone's had, unless, you know, City kind of drops a result a little earlier, right?
Yeah, but I mean, the problem is at this point, at least for Liverpool supporters, I mean, no one will really care, but it's going to be Man City. It's Man City's title to lose.
True.
And that's just all it's to it. So everyone's going to be like, well, if Man City had won up all their games, they would have won a title. Granted, you could say that for almost any title winning season for a lot of clubs, but still.
Well, I think you're right that it is Manchester City's title to lose. However, Liverpool has the way more difficult schedule finishing this. And so if they can come with a result, not only in the Premier League, but also if for somehow, if they're getting past Barcelona in the Champions League too, I mean, no one can dispute the fact that that is an incredible ending to a championship season.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. If somehow Liverpool was, it seems like, you know, some kind of miracle at this point, and it feels that way. I know it's not out of the realm of probability, but if somehow Liverpool was to pull off the double and win both, I can't. I don't know how you top that. Other than
a treble. Yeah, I mean, treble, perfect season, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Liverpool, this is the best season, I feel like, from a club in Liverpool that we've seen since Arsenal and the Invincibles. Right. And they still might not win the title.
Yeah, I know. That's what's crazy is they still might not win. That's nuts. But anyways, okay, so we'll come back to some of that stuff in the future. But let's go ahead and let's get into a couple of the other squads. A couple teams on the slide, man. You're looking at Arsenal dropping a result at home against Palace, 3-2. Not expected.
No.
Not only not expected, but it's a huge blow for Arsenal, and we're going to get into the other huge blow they took here in a little while, but definitely not good for Arsenal fans. You gotta be able to hold those kinds of results if you're looking to get into the Champions League, man. This is the kind of stuff that keeps you in the Europa League. This keeps you on the outskirts, dropping results like this at home. Along with that, we have Manchester United getting absolutely decimated by Everton, 4-0 in Merseyside. Now, I mean, dude, 4-0? And no one saw that coming.
No, that was quite unbelievable. It was a shocker, no doubt. Might be could possibly be the shocker of the season. I know it's been a long season. Maybe there's some other results I'm not thinking of off the top of my head, but Everton, I mean, they were home, but Everton's not the kind of side that beats a side like Man U 4-0 every day. It just doesn't happen.
No, I mean, that being said, Everton is catching Manchester United like in the middle of their slump, in the middle of their slide. You know what I mean? Like they could be, in a funny way, Manchester United is at the greatest moment of their lowest moment currently in the season, if you will.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they catch them. Go ahead.
Let me just add that there's rumors that Pogba wants to leave.
I mean, surprise, surprise. It's
right. Exactly.
The rumor mill, again, you and I always talk about this. It's fun to speculate. Who knows what's really going on in the locker room. They went on such an incredible run earlier in the season that kept them up here fighting for that Champions League spot. It's hard to imagine that the squad is going to let go of something that happened in the middle of the season so easily. I mean, I understand Manchester United are on a really bad slide right now, no doubt. And not only in Champions League, but in Premier League and everywhere else. But, I mean, can they put out, are they just going to totally forget what happened as soon as Solskjaer came on and took over Manchester United and they just blew up mid-season?
Yeah, it's tough because, I mean, Man U is facing a little bit of there's a change in what's going on. Like, I compare it to what's going on. Sorry to use this analogy with basketball in the NBA, but I compare it to what's going on with the Lakers. The Lakers are this glamorous team, one of the glamour franchises in the United States as far as basketball goes and worldwide, and they're just not that good anymore. And they're still trying to ride that prestige and bring players to LA because they're the Lakers. They're the Yankees, like basketball. I mean, in baseball, and for basketball. And Man U kind of feels like they're in that similar territory where I think if they're expecting players to come and stay with Man U just because they're Man U, it's not that way anymore.
No, they definitely. Yeah, no, it's definitely not that way right now. When you look at Manchester United's roster, it seems like they should be one of the top clubs. They have incredible, players on their team. I mean, it's hard. Yeah, again, it's hard to say because with Mourinho, you saw them on a huge slump. Everyone was upset. It was this crazy thing going on in the locker room.
Oh, yeah. Definitely bad.
Okay, so they of course let him go. Solskjaer takes over interim. They blow up. They have this incredible run of games, not only in the Premier League but also in Champions League. And the inevitable happens. I mean, you and I always talk about this when it comes to clubs and supporters of those clubs. What are you going to do when your team goes on a slide? Because it will happen, like it's going to happen at some point in time, not only as a franchise, but also in a season possibly. And that's what we're seeing with Manchester United. So Manchester United's on this huge slump. Do you think Solskjaer is going to be able to drag him out of this? Do you think that Pogba might step up and change that attitude? I mean, I don't know. There's only 3 games left here in the season after this, and it's hard to imagine that they're going to finish on a really high note either way.
It's hard to imagine Man U not making, at the very least, Europa League. Like, if they get that 6th spot and they obviously lose out on Champions League and they don't even qualify for Europa League, and they basically in this season with nothing to show for it and nothing really for the future other than their roster that's very talented, it's definitely a hit, a blow to the psyche of the club and all the supporters. But I feel like Gunner's could possibly be the manager for them. I don't know. I mean, were they a little quick to give him that 3-year extension and bring him on full time? Maybe. I think he's going to need time in transfer windows to bring in his own players and I kind of feel like the roster that he has right now, even though there's talent there, might be time for other guys to move on. You got to find the right mix. I mean, sometimes it's not about talent, as we've spoken about this before. You just got to find the guys that are going to play for him, that are going to go through a wall for him, and got to play the system that he wants to play. Play it well,
Yeah, completely agree.
Fixing that the fit.
Yeah, finding the fit is huge. I mean, a perfect example for that on Manchester United, and part of this is because he's just playing like shit all season, but Alexis Sanchez. This dude comes in, he basically didn't play all year.
He's anonymous.
When he did get on the pitch, he just basically gave the ball away. And a lot of it had to do with it just looked like he didn't sync up with any of the play that was going on. So, I mean, it's things like this, when you have a big name, we all, again, as you just said, we talk about this. Just because you're a big name doesn't mean that you fit within the scheme of a club, within the way that they're going to play. So, yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting over the summer to see what kind of transfers go on, see who Ollie is able to pull over, because so many other managers have gone to bigger clubs. Zidane over in Madrid, they're going to be pulling so hard. I mean, how do you stand up to Real Madrid, Zinedine Zidane, coming up to a player and saying, hey, I want you to play for me in Real Madrid? And then you have Solskjaer like, hey, I know that we kind of had a rough season, but you wanna come on over here and try it out?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what's going on, or just kind of going back a little bit with the players on the club and superstars, like what happened with Juve? They decided to go after Cristiano Ronaldo. It's like, great, yeah, we'll go get Cristiano Ronaldo and we're like guaranteed to win the Champions League. It's like, no, it doesn't work that way. I know you have one of the best players in the world, but still, the rest of your team, the rest of your squad, there might be some deficiencies, and that might be what costs you. And I think that's what cost, as we'll get into Champions League later, that's what cost Juve. It's like not any one man is going to necessarily take you over the hump and get you that glory, because soccer's very much a team sport.
Correct.
You know?
Completely
You've seen with Messi, with Argentina as well. He can't drag them to the promised land. I mean, once in a while it happens. Maradona did it supposedly in the 80s. I mean, he did win World Cups, but they say like he drugged those teams to championships, to the world titles. But most of the time, one man can't do it. You got to have a team.
Yeah, absolutely. So, coming on to looking up the next game here. This finished off match day 35. You see Chelsea drawing with Burnley at home, and this was another result that, I mean, if you look at Manchester United, you look at Tottenham Hotspur, you look at Arsenal, and you look at Chelsea. These four teams that are vying for that 4 spot, all of them basically dropped a result in match day 35. In different ways. We had a draw from Chelsea, we had a huge loss from Manchester United, a loss from Spurs, and also a loss from Arsenal. So everyone but Chelsea drops points, but Chelsea only gets a draw, which is not enough in this case. Again, if you want that Champions League spot, you got to get these wins against teams like Burnley, especially when you're at home.
Yeah, no doubt. It's the same thing as Arsenal or Man U or even Tottenham. I mean, they're kind of, those four, I think, are going to battle it out to see who gets those final 2 Champions League spots. And one will get a Europa League spot, and one of them is going to be on the outside of all of it. And yeah, that's going to be the club that's really going to be in the dumps.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll get into the standings here in a minute. So now we're going to get into the matches that brought us to date and brings everyone level with match day 35. And these were kind of the makeup games in between. You had Watford and Southampton. You had Spurs hosting Brighton. And then the following day on the 24th, you had the Manchester Derby and Wolves hosting Arsenal. So the important games that happened over the course of these 2 days: Spurs hosting Brighton. Spurs desperately needed the win after taking the L from Man City, and they got it 1-0. It's a 1-0 victory, 3 points. I don't know if I'm quite convinced. I mean, just the fact that it's Brighton, I feel like they should at least put 2 goals on. But hey, they got the 3 points.
Yeah, exactly. At this point, getting the 3 points, I mean, Tottenham's focus is on at least being in the top 4, so they have Champions League for sure next year, no matter what. But they're turning their focus to Champions League because they're farther than they ever thought they would be. So,
yep, agreed. Arsenal taking a huge L from Wolves. Wolves crushed Arsenal. Now, Arsenal was on the road, and I will say, Wolves are, either Wolves or Watford are definitely the top 2 teams out of the rest of the pack. And Wolves are no joke. Right now, Raul Jimenez, Diogo Jota, Matt Doherty, Rui Patricio and net. I mean, these guys are no joke. So the fact that... contenders. I'm sorry, go ahead.
They're solid contenders, those clubs, for trying to vie for getting up in the top 4. Mm-hmm. Those are the ones that are out there trying to get in there.
Yeah, absolutely. And Wolves are definitely one of those teams that they're dangerous on any given day. Arsenal feels that, and they drop another result. They take the 3-1 loss. Huge there. Again, we'll talk about how that affects them in the tables, but finishing off this and getting everyone level, the game that was so pivotal for everyone, including teams that on the outside, aka Liverpool. The Manchester Derby happens. Manchester United hosting Manchester City at Old Trafford. This was one of the most hyped games all season for sure. And as far as gameplay goes, the second half was flat to me, for sure. The first half was very exciting. You didn't know where it was going to go. Manchester United was looking aggressive. It seemed like they were holding possession well, creating chances. And then second half started and Manchester City just took over, dominated, and made it their game. They get the result 2-0 over Manchester United, thus vaulting them into the top spot in the Premier League by 1 point over Liverpool. And I mean, it's a dagger in the back of Liverpool for sure. It feels terrible if you're a Liverpool fan because you're hoping for at least a draw. And when it goes into a draw at halftime, you're like, oh my God, there might be a chance here. And then not even close.
No.
So
yeah, I mean, Ian, should we really be surprised? I mean,
no, I mean, that's the thing. Like I was saying, Manchester United's on like the slide of all slides. It's so weird. Their season is like perfect bell curve, dude. It's like starting low, good and awesome, and then crash and burn again.
Yeah.
So 2-0, Manchester City getting that win. Now let's go ahead and let's take a look at the tables. As I had just said, Manchester City now on top. Everyone's even. 35 games played, 3 games left. City has 29 wins, 2 draws, and 4 losses. They have 89 points, and they have a goal differential of plus 67 currently. Second place, of course, as we all know, Liverpool. They have their 35 games played. They've won 27. Now they've got 7 draws, and they've only lost 1 time. They have 88 points. They're 1 point behind Man City, and they have a goal differential of plus 59. So it's pretty crazy, the huge gap in between the top 2 and then the following 4. Let's talk about the following 4 really quickly. We have third place, Tottenham Hotspur. They're 3 points ahead of Chelsea. Tottenham Hotspur right now have 70 points. So they're 18 points behind Liverpool, who's in second place, to give you any sort of perspective there. I mean, that's pretty... a huge gap. Not even like kind of a gap. It's like massive.
18 points, you said? 18 points?
18 points behind. Not only that, but Tottenham Hotspur's goal differential is plus 30. That's 29 goals behind Liverpool.
Yeah, no. I mean, Liverpool and Man City are in a different stratosphere right now.
Absolutely. Even though Tottenham Hotspur puts Manchester City out of the Champions League. See, I mean, this is like...
Yeah, sure.
I mean, any day of the week. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say we'll get into that Champions League match. I mean, but yeah, it's...
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. But so Tottenham Hotspur right now 3 points ahead of number 4, Chelsea. Chelsea with 67 points. They just came off the draw. But Tottenham Hotspur, Arsenal, Manchester United, all dropping results. Really bad stuff for all of them. Chelsea definitely should come away with 3 points, but they're still in the hunt, and they're definitely in the race. I mean, all of these teams are. Arsenal has 66 points. They're only 1 point behind Chelsea, and Manchester United 64 points. They are 3 points behind the number 4 Chelsea spot. So I mean, like those bottom 4 right there. I mean, 3, 4, 5, 6, Tottenham, Chelsea, Arsenal, Manchester United. I mean, any one of those teams can go through pending on these last 3 weeks. And this is the beauty of Premier League football because it shows you that, like, every single game matters. If you drop those points at any point in time during the season, it can just spell doom for you.
Coming back to haunt you. Sure. Definitely.
I mean, and I can't think right now off the top of my head, but it'll be really fun to go back. You already brought the one up for Liverpool, the goal that should have been, right? That's going to happen for every club, I mean, like every club is going to have that moment that pivotal turning point, right? And so it'll be interesting to see whoever ends up on the outside. I mean, whoever ends up on that 6th spot, man. And right now it's looking like Manchester United. United looks like they're not going to make it, man.
You would think it's going to be either Arsenal or Manchester United, just going off form right now.
Correct. And that being said, Arsenal seems like they're in a better form, even though they're not in good form. But Manchester United right now is just down in the dumps. So big games coming up. Matchday 36 coming up. And let's go ahead and let's talk really quickly about the fixtures this upcoming weekend. And it's exciting. However, it's interesting because there's not too many big marquee matchups left. There are a few, and a few that matter, but a lot of these teams at this point in time are playing spoiler for these top clubs. The good example is this Friday. That should be actually today. Liverpool is hosting Huddersfield. And, of course, Huddersfield, this should be an easy win for Liverpool. But how amazing would it be if Huddersfield gets even a draw? They are somehow get a draw with Liverpool and hold Liverpool back. I mean, that's a big feather in the cap for Huddersfield. I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be 3-0 is my prediction. What do you think?
Liverpool's at home?
Yep.
Yeah, I could see that. I'll go 2-0.
2-0, cool. Let's talk Saturday. The next, this is a tough game. You got Spurs West Ham.
Yeah,
So
it's the London derby there.
and this is Spurs hosting. So West Ham on the road. Spurs should get the 3 points, but this is one of those things where it's a derby, man. West Ham could come to play.
Yep, that's true.
So
and I don't know. It's at the new Tottenham Stadium.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's the new Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Oh, well, that stadium's pretty electric. So
yeah, it is pretty amazing. But again, what a feather in the cap it would be from West Ham beating their rivals, or at least drawing their rivals and putting them, at least in a worse position. Tottenham definitely controls their own destiny, at least, but it'd be a big win for West Ham, or at least a draw. Now, Sunday is when the other 4 big clubs are playing. These are pivotal matches for all of these teams. Number 1, Leicester hosting Arsenal. So Arsenal's on the road. Arsenal needs points right now in order to stay in the race for this Champions League spot. And their form isn't very good. I don't know. Leicester, Arsenal, who do you got in this one?
Is Arsenal home or away? I'm sorry.
They're away. They're on the road.
Away. Ah, man.
I know.
It's tough to call because, Leicester's a pretty feisty side.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take Arsenal 2-1, I guess.
2-1.
They're the better club, but...
They are. I'm gonna say it's a draw. I'm gonna say Leicester, Arsenal 2-2. And, it's definitely going to be a match to keep your eye on, at least just to see some of the drama that might unfold. Now, this one, this is what I'm talking about as far as teams playing spoiler. So Burnley hosting Manchester City. This should be an absolute annihilation. Manchester City should just wipe the floor with Burnley. But again, all the last games in the season are so huge, not only for the top clubs, but also for these other clubs. They want to play spoiler. How big would it be for Burnley to be able to say, Manchester City, one of the best teams in the world, one of the best seasons of all time, we were able to knock them off late in the game.
Yeah, no doubt it'd be huge. I don't see it, but I'm hoping for a shocker,
Yeah, even a draw would be great, but honestly, Manchester City is probably going to play their B squad and still win 3-0,
Yeah.
So, moving forward, let's look at the last big game of this Matchday 36. Manchester United hosting Chelsea. And this is where Manchester United can make a play to get into at least Europa League. They're on a huge slide. Chelsea just came off a draw. At least Manchester United's at home, but, the form is really not good right now. This one's kind of weird, man, because Chelsea isn't necessarily in the best form either. Although I feel like Chelsea is definitely playing better than Manchester United. Do you think that Manchester United can pull a result at home against Chelsea, or do you think they continue this slide?
I don't know. Everything points to they'll continue the slide. Chelsea's in pretty good form right now.
Yeah, they came off the draw, but they're definitely playing quite a bit better than Manchester United. Yeah. I'm going to say it's going to be 2-1 Chelsea is my vote.
Yeah. I'll go 1-0 Chelsea.
1-0. Okay. All right. Well, very good. You heard our predictions. But it is the Premier League, man. This is any day, any of these teams can put you down for sure. That's what makes it exciting. We'll be looking forward to recapping Matchday 36. Do you have anything else you want to go into as far as the Premier League goes before we just talk about the Champions League real quick?
No, sir.
All right, excellent. So let's go ahead and let's bring up the Champions League. Let's start looking through what has happened. The Champions League quarterfinal, it was really exciting. Go ahead.
Before you start anything, I must say this before I forget. Well, I mean, I'm obviously going to have an opportunity to speak on it, but I was wrong. I was wrong. I just want to say that.
About?
Two of those predictions, I fell right on my face.
On what do you mean?
On the, I thought Man City was not going to beat Tottenham. I had said it pretty strongly that, Man City losing to Tottenham could not happen. That'd be come on, lose to Tottenham. And then the other one, I didn't see Ajax going through, obviously. So their Cinderella stories continue.
Well, you know what? Obviously, I think that you are, you're right in line with the majority of people in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, no one really saw Manchester City.
I was a betting man. I lost a lot of money.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, that being said, whoever placed their money on Ajax is they're happy right now. But let's go ahead and let's take a look at the quarterfinals. We'll look at the two legs very quickly. Tottenham came away with a 1-0 victory in the first leg. And then, so they were up 1-0 before the second. Liverpool, 2-0 in the first leg over Porto. Ajax and Juve 1-1, and that was one of the big shockers. You were expecting Juve to come away with a victory, even if it was 2-0 or 2-1. But Ajax holding them to that 1-1. And, this was obviously, I don't know, in a way it was an eye catcher when Ajax came away with a draw. Everyone, I believe, started looking at that series there and those two legs with a little bit more skepticism about whether or not Juve was going to pull it out, but still everyone was like, no, it's Juve. They got this. Like, no way, right? Especially going home. So, and then we have Manchester United hosting Barcelona. Barcelona came away with that victory 1-0. And this was after beating up on Messi the entire game. And we'll get into the second leg here in a minute. But, I kind of called this one saying Messi's going to be pissed and he's going to give it to Manchester United in this second leg, which he did. He gave it to him. Let's talk about first, before that, we'll just get this one out of the way. Liverpool absolutely smashing Porto 4-1. So Liverpool moving into the semifinal. That was like one of the... I'm sorry, say that again?
We'll just outclass them. Go ahead. You're going to say what you're going to say.
No, you're right. I mean, it was definitely outclassing, but it was one of the few fixtures and few series that everyone was totally correct on, right? So getting into the second legs here, the other game that was the most obvious that ended up happening, I would say, was Manchester United falling to Barcelona 3-0. And Messi, I mean, he has a brace. He was searching for that hat trick. He was on a mean hunt for that hat trick, and I thought he was going to get it too.
Yeah.
But I mean, he just embarrassed the defense of Manchester United. He made him
just Messi.
Yeah, dude, he made them look like fools, man. The nutmeg he had on Fred before his first goal was so gross. And then when he turned Phil Jones, ran him down the pitch, megged the dude, and then scored. I mean, dude, come on, man. It's unreal.
They had a chance.
Yeah. And then that being said, Coutinho's strike was nothing to bat an eye at, but it's crazy how that strike from Coutinho, which was so awesome, especially against Manchester United, a former Liverpool foe, it was still overshadowed by Messi's performance. And it was an amazing strike, no doubt. But as you said, Messi does Messi. So 3-0 victory. Barcelona moves on to the semifinal round against Liverpool. And what a huge game over there. Barcelona-Liverpool as far as that series goes. Both those legs are going to be incredible, and we'll see how that unfolds. But hey, man, Messi versus VVD. Van Dijk and Robertson over on that left wing trying to take on Messi, dude. Suarez, Dembele, dude, what a game that's going to be. So we'll talk about that in the future. But now getting to the two games that were definitely the biggest upsets, and no one really saw these coming. Ajax coming away with the victory 2-1, and they were on the road. I mean,
yeah, man. The kids are all right, man. They can play. They're confident. They're playing with house money.
Guaranteed. Yeah. I mean, they have nothing to lose, as we've been talking about. And it was beautiful. Beautiful football, man. And, Juve had every opportunity to move forward. Everyone was expecting Ronaldo to come up with another big moment. He doesn't. He can't come through. And look, everyone wins together, loses together, man. So I think a lot of people kind of hated on Ronaldo after that. A little bit unfairly. At the same time, go ahead.
No, the guy beast. Cristiano Ronaldo can't play all the positions.
Well, exactly. And he says right afterwards in an interview, he's like, I don't do miracles, which actually I might dispute that in a way. But dude, him and Messi, dude, they seem to have that, I don't know, man. That magic, dude. So that being said, Ajax does come away with the victory. It's an amazing moment for them. It puts them in the semifinal of the Champions League. And I don't remember the last time they were in the Champions League semifinal, but it was a while ago.
Ajax?
Yeah.
I don't know. I would say off the top of my head, probably in the 90s.
Yeah, I would agree, but I'm not sure either. I'll have to look into that. But the last game we'll talk about as far as Champions League goes, just insanity.
Bananas. That's what
I mean, pandemonium. All right. Manchester City hosts Tottenham, and it was like...
It was real quick.
What's that?
Went off the rails real quick.
Dude, I saw something online that made me laugh. Like, in the MLS, if there's some game that ends up being 4-3, everyone's gonna hate on it and be like, "Oh, what terrible defense! Like these guys suck so bad."
Equality, yeah.
Yeah, but then you look at Champions League and it's 4-3, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, what a great game! This is crazy."
Best players ever.
I mean, that being said, it was absolutely one of the most entertaining games that you're ever going to see.
No doubt. It had goals, controversy,
lead changing back and forth.
I mean, yeah, man. It was that right there is like, that's why we watch. That's entertainment. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that.
If you are
like, it was in a final.
Yeah, no, agreed. I mean, if that was a final, it would have been one of the greatest finals of all time, for sure.
Yeah.
People still going on about whether or not this is one of the greatest Champions League games of all time, though. And I think that's probably a good argument for that.
Yeah, no doubt.
I mean, the quality of the goals was amazing. The speed of play was amazing. Heung-min Son showing up, awesome.
Let's take a step. What do you think about the two? I want to pick your brain here. What do you think of the two controversial calls? The handball non-call and the offside.
I mean, I think that offside was rough. It was...
Yeah. Close, huh?
It was so close. I mean...
These are the things that people talk about. Like, as we keep moving on with technology, like we're using technology now, and it's like, I mean, it's getting to the point where you could, like, I'm sure we'll get to the point where we might not, maybe we'll always have ARs, have that human element, but I'm sure we're getting to the point we are where, like, the computer will be able to do a straight line across the field on the last defender, and they'll be able to see exactly with precision if a guy is off according to the law. And, I mean, it will take some of that. Like, what I'm trying to say is that if this match is played 10 years ago, maybe even 5 years ago, maybe he's not called offside. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
It easily could. easily the AR leaves them on, and no one's looking at any. Maybe we're looking at replays, but there's no hint of VAR or any of that. Now with VAR and all that, people are for it, people are against it, but it's crazy. This territory we're going into of this new kind of drama and controversy around VAR and these decisions. It's only going to intensify now as the rest of the world catches up to doing it. I mean, Premier League will do it next year. I know this is Champions League, and Champions League has it. Premier League, it's going to be crazy with the Premier League next year because having a top league use VAR, like the Premier League, you're going to see it week in, week out.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's a game changer. There's obviously both sides to that. Everyone wants to talk about the human element and all that stuff. It's definitely a human element in looking at a replay. You were talking about the precision that might end up happening, and I do believe we are going to get there eventually. I don't think it's going to be for a little while. But, I mean, to be honest, at least for me, I'm okay with it. Like, we're in the era where it should happen.
I think somebody said by the letter of the law, he's offside, but by the spirit of the game, he should have been on.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know if that's a cop-out or if that's somewhere like we're in some gray area, but as we spoke before, there's a lot of gray in the world. It's not always black and white as much as we'd like it to be. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the issue that people have with VAR is that technology is trying to make it black and white.
Right.
It's always going to be gray. But... yeah, so the offside, you could probably go 50-50. What's your take on the handball? And the ball comes in off the corner, goes off. Does it go off the arm initially of?
Yeah, and then it hits his hip. It's Vertonghen, I believe.
No, well, you go off Vertonghen. Well, Llorente's the guy that scored it, right?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, I was wrong. Llorente, you're right.
Yeah. He knows nothing about it. From what I could see in my replay, I'll give you my take. He knows nothing about it.
I agree.
I know people are like, well, but still, I mean, he goes off his arm. That changes the whole trajectory of the ball. It bounces down nicely, calmly. Obviously an opportunity for him.
Opportunistic opportunity. I love it.
I know you're right. You like that? You like that double
double wordage
there? So yeah, I mean, he gets that opportunity. People say that he gets that opportunity because of that, and that goal shouldn't stand. What say you?
Well, what say me is if you're going to go by the letter of law on the offside, you got to go on it with the handball. I mean, you're right. He knows nothing about it. I agree. And
it seems at his side, right?
It is at his side. I mean, that's so hard. It's so hard.
It drives you crazy because at the end of the day, you feel like you're splitting hairs. I mean, there's a difference, right? There's ball to hand and there's hand to ball. That's why not every time ball hits somebody in the hand in the box, it's called a PK. I mean, we can't be just giving out PKs every time a ball hits someone in the hand.
Well, okay,
arm.
but here,
but people they're advocating for that.
Well, let me just tell you this. I mean, the ball comes in, and if it was 2 inches higher on his arm, they're going to call it.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, another issue was that people said is that the angles that the ref saw at VAR were not one of the angles that we saw through the goal that gives a more clear shot of the handball. Uh-huh. I don't think the ref ever saw that angle. And people were saying, well, if he had saw that, he might have called it. And it's like, yeah, why didn't he get that angle to begin with? I don't know. I mean, that's another conspiracy.
Conspiracy.
Yeah, exactly. So,
really, but see, at
the end of the day, I'm okay with it because bang bang stuff happens.
Yeah.
It's not a clear and obvious. Okay. I'll bring back the 09 Henry. The
handball that kept. Yeah.
Yeah, he's clearly his arm is going forward.
Oh yeah.
So
he swats that ball.
He basically swats it. That's more clear cut. They don't call it. Obviously, Ireland's pissed because they missed out on the 2010 World Cup. That was robbery. That was totally unfair.
Agreed.
I can understand people being up in arms about that.
Yep.
There are times when the calls are not made or they are called and they're just totally like, what? That's ludicrous.
Correct.
But this is one of those things where I'm like, you know what? I'm okay with the non-call. I would have been okay with the handball call as well, in all honesty, I guess. But I'm okay with the non-call.
So let me just say, I'm okay with the non-call. I get it. And I'm not going to dispute that. However, if you're a City fan, you're losing your mind.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
For both reasons. Not only for the offside, because you're going to really pray for the fact that that's going to stand, but more, I think, honestly, I think you're going to be more upset about the goal, honestly, than I think you are with the offside. Just because the goal really puts it away. Like, that's points for the other team, right?
It really feels like it's egregious. Like, it feels like that's illegal and that shouldn't be. Because I think, like, offside seems more subjective in some instances, especially when it's so close. And handballs feel like they should be more clear cut, but
that's not how it is, man. That's the game.
Yeah.
So, hey, man, it's drama to the last, coming down to a call of centimeters of offside, right? So exciting stuff. We're looking forward to the semifinal of the Champions League. Tottenham facing Ajax and Barcelona, Liverpool. So, I mean, it would seem that Tottenham is going through to the final, but that's what a lot of people have been thinking about Ajax, and they've been eating their words, man.
I'll tell you right now, I'm going for Ajax. Now, there's no reason why I don't think they couldn't. I mean, unless Ajax in their mind doesn't take Tottenham. Like, if Ajax plays with the same respect that I know that they gave Juve and Real Madrid before that, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they took the game to them because they looked up to those clubs, per se. If they look at Tottenham like, hey, we got to get to this team to get to the final, they should handle them. But the moment that they look at Tottenham and think, oh, it's Tottenham.
Yeah, we got them.
Like, then they could be in trouble. But, I mean, they're young, and there's definitely a possibility of that happening because they're inexperienced. But, man, Ajax, like I told you, they're playing with tons of confidence. And I don't know. I mean, a lot of people would hate to say this. Tottenham fans are kill me, but some would say Tottenham got lucky against Man City. So, better to be lucky than good.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Ajax is no joke right now. Facing Tottenham, both those teams they're formidable, and Ajax is proving that they are a very formidable side. If they do go through, I believe, obviously, they've earned every little bit of it, and it'll be very exciting to see them go through. I don't know. I'm with you. It's really hard to call one of these. You're going with Ajax. Just for playing devil's advocate, I'll go for Tottenham. I think they do pull it out, and I think it's the end of Ajax's Cinderella story. But that one's hard though. Like that. Like a part of me is still definitely like I want that youth to come up with the win.
Whoever's going to go through, they're going to be huge underdogs in Champions League final.
Correct. Because our other semifinal is Barcelona-Liverpool. Which, these are two top tier teams in the entire world. Basically, Messi and his crew of ridiculous talent. I mean, I don't know if you ever have a chance to look at the roster for Barcelona, but I almost don't suggest looking at it because you might puke on how good they are.
It's Barcelona, so.
Yeah, man. And then you got Liverpool, who, I mean, they've been having an incredible year. They have amazing talent on their squad. Are they at the end of their gas tank? They still have the Premier League going on, and we were kind of talking about both those things. How is this going to affect the Premier League? How is the Premier League going to affect Champions League? I mean, it's all to be seen, and this is, again, why we watch this game. I'm going to say Barcelona at home is going to get a win. I say it's going to be 2-1 at home, Barcelona with the win. What do you got for the first leg, at least? We'll leave the second leg. I'm not going to talk about the second leg right now. Let's just go first leg.
I'll agree with you there. I'll go with. And Barcelona is very tough to beat at home, and I mean, that's the thing. You could play Messi anywhere in the world. I don't care.
Yeah.
Play at Anfield, at the new camp, neutral field. It's going to be a tough match. But when they're at home, I mean, whatever it is, 80, 90,000 strong there, and that full voice doing the whole anthem for Barcelona, and it's going to be nuts. So yeah, I'll go 2-1 with you. Hate to copy your homework, but
no, that's all good. I can get on board having you there. Tottenham Ajax. You're going with Ajax. I'm going with Tottenham for the victory overall. I'm gonna say that in this first leg, Tottenham's gonna win. I'm gonna call it 1-0. Yeah, 1-0 victory.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Are they home or away?
Tottenham's home for the first leg.
I'll go 1-1. I
1-1.
think it's a crucial away.
Crucial away, and that's what's going to help put them through. I can see that happening. Well, very good. Before we move on to some MLS, do you have anything regarding the Champions League you want to touch on?
No, nothing besides that. Messi's going to give nightmares to Liverpool's back line. I mean, our back line, Liverpool's back line, is much better than most back lines, but still.
It doesn't matter, yeah. Anytime that you're going to face Messi, and not only face Messi, but face him twice, I mean...
you're arguably playing against the best player in the world.
And of all time.
Yeah, exactly. And you're focused like, Messi, damn, Messi. Oh, yeah, and there's this guy Luis Suarez over here, and there's the guy...
That's what I was telling you, dude. That's what I was telling you. You're going to puke if you look up that roster, man. It's too gross. Well, okay, so let's go ahead and let's move forward. We're going to start talking about some MLS here. We're excited for these Champions League games. Wait, hold on. Do that again.
MLS.
There he goes. He had to get that in. All right, so let's go ahead and let's look. Again, with MLS right now, we're going to just talk about some of the bigger teams, some of the bigger results, any surprise stuff going on. But let's go ahead and let's get into these first ones. We'll look at the standings, and then we'll kind of talk about the teams from there. Currently in the Eastern Conference, we have DC United at the top with 17 points. They've recently been a little bit up and down. They've had a couple great games. I don't know. This is the thing about the MLS, okay? I love our domestic soccer. I love our teams. I love that we have our own version of what we play. I think it's really important and exciting. The beginning of the season, it feels like there's a couple teams that are making some statements, but take for instance in the East, you have no clear-cut team that's absolutely tearing it down right now.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. MLS is in some ways like a shell game. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's the team that's leading right now, and you put them in the cups, you move them around, and oh wait, where'd they go? Yeah, it's especially here in the early going, parity is king.
Yeah. I would agree. Let's just talk about a couple teams then. Let's and a couple players. Moreover, Alejandro Pozuelo, bro. What's going down in Toronto?
Who is this guy? I'm going to be honest with you. Never heard of the guy. Didn't they were just he's a midfielder in La Liga. I think he played for Real Sociedad. I don't remember. I could be wrong there, which is crazy to me because I think that's the same club that Carlos Vela came from. So I don't know what's in the water over there, but I didn't know the guy. And he comes over here, and this dude is beasting. Guys that be on the pitch, who is this guy?
Yeah, dude, seriously, man. The goals that he's scoring are... they're Super Saiyan level, man. He's taking people out of the play with all kinds of step overs and just burying it from deep with beautiful placed balls. He's taking touches that are so nasty and just flicking them into the net. What the fuck?
And that's the thing. That's we've talked about this before. Is that a bad reflection on MLS?
Well, okay, so you say that, but then if Messi scores these goals, they're the greatest goals of all time. You know what I mean? It's all perspective when it comes to a lot of that. You know,
Yeah, and it's against the competition too. Like, I mean, Messi's doing what he's doing against the best competition in the world.
Correct.
Postelo's doing what he's doing against MLS quality competition. So there is a difference. I'm sure people outside MLS look at him and be like, "Oh, Pozuelo, yeah, he didn't really do much." I don't know what he did in La Liga, but I'm sure he wasn't scoring goals like this.
No way. And I would have to look, into that a little bit more. I'm right with you. I didn't know a whole lot about Pozuelo either when he came into the league. Clearly, he's just got his mojo going right now. We'll see how long that lasts too. I mean, that's the thing. It's like it's a long season, man. Like, no doubt, the quality right now looks like he's going to be there for a while. But
he do that in Houston in July at noon.
I don't know, dude. Like, I don't know what the temperature is like over in Spain, but I don't know if they got that humidity and that nasty, gross heat going down. Oof.
The travel. I mean, MLS players, I was just reading another article about this. I've known this for years. I think you know as well. MLS players don't do charter flights. They do commercial flights.
Yep.
They have, I think MLS gives them 4 charter flights all year, and most teams save that for the playoffs if they know they're going to be to the playoffs. And that's one of the things that European players talk about is the travel, or really players outside the MLS.
Right.
They're just not used to the amount of travel that you have to do in this league, and the time zone changes, the climate changes. That's rough.
It's a travel, and along with that, you said time zone changes, which I was just going to say distance, the distance, right? So, take, for instance, this last weekend, Vancouver played against Orlando. Vancouver had to travel, across a continent.
Yeah, pretty much.
A very, very large continent. We're not talking about the UK here, where you go across the continent in a few hours, bro. We're talking about one of the largest continents in the world, and you're crossing from diagonally on top of that, by the way.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's not even just straight across. You're traveling extra mileage because you're going diagonally. And then you're going from Canada, which, I mean, the weather there at this point in time has to be I don't know, I'm just guessing right now, but if I'm in Chicago and it's 40, I'm guessing up there it's probably 25, 30 degrees, right? And then you're going down to Florida, you're going down to Orlando, and all that humidity is there. Dude, it changes how you breathe. It changes how you run. It changes everything about your game, really. You got to be on a different level physically, which these guys are. They're professionals. But, man, until you experience something like that, I don't know, man. People don't give enough credit to how hard that is. I'm in total agreement with you.
So it takes time for players to get acclimated to that. So, yeah, Pozuelo is he's burning it up, but it's a long season. That's how he's doing at the end of the year.
Agreed. Over on the Eastern Conference, too, just a couple highlights here. Well, I should say more like lowlights. Atlanta United FC, they're at the bottom of the pack right now. They only have 5 points. They're getting owned right now. Frank de Boer is not happy. I'm sure the fans in Atlanta aren't happy, and we're going to see what happens as far as Atlanta's fan base being able to hold on. Yeah, man.
Fuego.
They got the talent.
They score goals, the Flames and all that. Seattle. Oh, man, there's no Fuego because they're not scoring a lot of goals.
Very true. They are without Fuego.
They are without Fuego. It's no bueno.
Yeah, man. So they're down at the bottom of the Eastern Conference right now, right alongside the New York Red Bulls, who both these teams last year were at the top of the tables.
Exactly. I mean, Atlanta, it's okay, they have a new manager. They lost arguably their best player. I mean, that's what it seems like. The proof's in the pudding right now. I mean, Miggy was stirring that drink. And, so they're going through some changes. And, I mean, we've talked about this. Hey, Atlanta, the big crowds, the pomp and circumstance, all that. It's just hold on. Eventually, Atlanta's hit a slump. They're going to hit some downtimes. Let's see how it goes when they hit those. Red Bulls, to me, is a little more surprising because there were no changes.
No.
Not that I know. So I don't know what's going on in the locker room. I know there was rumors that I don't know if this ever went official. I heard rumors that Chris Armas was going to be on the way out and Henry was going to come in to manage the Red Bulls. A former player for the Red Bulls, obviously international, played for Arsenal. You don't need to know his resume, but as a manager, not so good.
Yeah.
He had Monaco there in Ligue 1, and they sacked him. And hopefully, he's going to come over and manage Red Bulls, and that will be quite interesting. But it still doesn't help their problems on the pitch. It seems like at the moment, and I'm not putting butts in those seats.
Yeah, man. Just dropping results like that, of course, aren't going to help either. You know, they're down with 5 points. They've played 7 games. That's pretty pitiful right now. But look, all this being said, you and I keep on saying it, it's a long season. I don't want to put too much stock in either teams being low or these other teams being high on the standings either.
Look what Seattle does almost year in, year out. I mean, this is different. I mean, maybe they're going to go down.
Yeah, exactly.
Seattle is the blueprint. You can have a slow start and still make the playoffs.
Absolutely. You can have a slow start and still win the championship.
Yeah.
I mean, let's go over to the Western Conference. We'll talk about a couple of these teams and wrap it up. You know, the big story, of course, in all of the MLS right now is Carlos Vela and LAFC and just the domination that Carlos Vela is putting on everyone he's facing, the goals he's scoring, the chances he's creating. I mean, not only that, though. I mean, look, he's stirring the drink, as you had said. Not only stirring the drink, he's drinking the drink, but also, he's a
bartender. He's partaking in it. He gets the supply.
he's doing everything right now. But that being said, if you look at how they play, it's beautiful team football too. It's not one dude. This is the entire team coalescing, coming together. You know, giving each other beautiful runs and perfect passes. And then they have the quality to be able to finish, and Carlos Vela is heading that up. Dangerous club right now. You know, we just talked about how it's early in the season. We don't want to put too much stock in any one team here and there. And it's true. LAFC could take a slump, which everyone seems to do in the MLS at some point in time. They take a dip. But, man, if they keep playing the football they're playing right now, I don't know, man. It's just deadly right now.
Yeah. I mean, no doubt. I mean, look, we are both G supporters. I mean, it's no secret. And, you know, up the G's all day, all the time. But look, gotta be honest. Gotta be real. Gotta keep it 100 here. LAFC is no joke. Regardless of what you want to say, all the banter, you gotta be real here. They're playing good soccer, and they've been dominating. I mean, what's going on when they're at home? Fantastic, electric, and Carlos Vela is playing lights out. MVP caliber level, and right now the league doesn't have an answer for it.
No, they don't. But here's what's cool. I mean, look, they don't have an answer right now. Second place team in the Western Conference with a game in hand is the LA Galaxy. And this LA rivalry is going on. When you look at the Galaxy, you have Zlatan as kind of the centerpiece, of course. And you have the rest of the team that, to me, the rest of the team seems like they're trying to play catch up and play around Zlatan. We keep on talking about this. And whereas LAFC is playing that team ball, unless the Galaxy start to coalesce a little bit more like LAFC is playing, they're just not going to be able to keep up. So we'll see how that develops. I mean, Zlatan he's starting with a great year. You know, this last game that they just took the draw, 0-0 against Vancouver, it was, you know, it's one of those situations where this was the first game so far that he's played that he hasn't scored, which is pretty cool. I mean, he's definitely having a good season so far.
Yeah, no doubt.
But we talked about earlier in the podcast, can one man take a whole team the entire season, take them all the way through, and win. I mean, the odds are stacked against that.
Yeah, especially when he's 37 and coming off major knee surgery just a few years ago. I mean, if El Tráfico was played today, I don't know if I'd like the G's chances in those matches. Granted, it's going to be a Clásico, a derby. All bets are off.
It's going to be insanity.
I'm telling you, if they keep this up, I mean, even if they don't and they slack a little bit, still, those matches, I'm telling you, are going to be insane.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I mean, right now, the G's are undefeated against LAFC. Granted, it's small sample size, only 3 matches. It's the season of the rivalry. But yeah, if LAFC is going to win some matches against their rival, it's going to happen this season. I mean, looking at their form right now. And, yeah, man, I mean, what can you say? Like, I'm trying to find reasons to fault LAFC, like poke holes in their game right now, and it's hard to, because I mean they're clicking, man.
Yeah.
When they just beat. I mean, granted, Seattle Sounders were without some of their key players, but I mean, you just beat one of the other top teams in the conference, and you beat them soundly. Granted, they were at home, like I said, without some key players, but still.
Yeah,
you can only beat the teams that are in front of you.
Yeah,
regardless of what.
You're absolutely correct in saying that. I guess really what the defining idea here is that when you watch LAFC play, you can tell that they're at a different level than the other teams. Even if the result's closer, even if LAFC takes just a 1-point win, they win 3-2 or whatever it is, you can tell that the way they're playing is high and above all the competition right now. And then, of course, usually that will result in them smashing other teams like they did with Seattle 4-1. I mean, as you said, if they keep this up, chances are looking really good for LAFC, and everybody else in the league better start watching out. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's start wrapping this up today. If you have anything else that you want to add right now, let's go through that. You have anything in the MLS that you want to talk about?
Just off the top of my head, probably. Did you see the Kaku incident? Kansas City?
Oh, yeah, where he kicked the ball directly into the crowd, right?
I think he was upset. He was obviously mad. Age, overcame him, frustrated about something. I think he was just trying to slam the ball off the advertisement boards there, the electronic, kick them. And obviously, he just blasted it, skied it, the fan. I know a lot of people, there's been a lot of jokes about this, like, wow, a player in MLS can't hit advertisement boards, 2 yards in front of him. What does that say about the quality of the league or the quality of him? Like, he's a good player, but, it's the joke there.
Right.
No, the thing is about this, so he hits the fan there in Kansas City, and obviously there's a big, scrum all over that, and supposedly the supporter was concussed. I don't know. I can't confirm that, what's happened with that supporter, but so he got a red card, rightfully so. Stuff like that can't happen. And everyone was expecting a very lengthy suspension, and he only got 2 additional matches, so he'll be out for a total of 3.
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard the news. What do you?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm fine with it. I don't, the dude was in the heat. He hit the ball. I know it's messed up. He's getting 3-game suspension. Maybe they fine him as well.
I think it's an undisclosed fine as well.
Right. So, hey, man, everyone's going to forget about this in a month, so.
Yeah, I mean, the conspiracy is that the MLS didn't want to, throw the book at him and spend him too long, because supposedly he wants to leave, and the Red Bulls need to put him out on display so they can keep his transfer value up, so they can sell him in the summer.
Well, whatever. There's your conspiracy. Fine. So very cool, man. I'm looking forward to this weekend, Matchday 36 with the Premier League. We got Matchday 10 kind of in the MLS. The MLS season's kind of weird as far as its fixtures go. Some teams have played 7, some have 6, some have 9. So you're looking at kind of like Matchday 9, 10, something like that. But Matchday 36 with the Premier League, obviously huge. And then we're coming up on some Champions League as well. Just to give you an idea, Champions League is on Tuesday the 30th. And also Wednesday the 1st. So Tottenham Ajax on Tuesday, Barcelona hosting Liverpool on the 1st. Huge games. And then, of course, this weekend we have Matchday 36. So a lot of amazing football coming up.
Oh, it's getting crazy, man. You got the Premier League wrapping down, this whole title race, Champions League coming down to the wire. MLS is just kind of getting its engines going. But, man, before you know it, the Women's World Cup.
Yes.
Copa America.
Yes. Gold
Cup.
Yes.
All coming this summer, bro.
Dude, it's out. Dude, I'm ready. Are you ready?
I don't know, man.
All right, right on, dude. All right, well, as always, guys, enjoy the games and don't hate.
Don't hate.